Welcome to Health Oddity, the show that strips away the jargon and hype surrounding all things health and fitness to help you live a long, strong and energetic life. Lining up at the bar this week, here's Peter Lant, Paul Bassett and James St Pierre.
Hello and welcome to the Health Oddity podcast, episode 16 with Peter Lant. Say hello, Peter.
Hello. I'll just switch my lights on. Hang on. There we go.
Oh, very festive, very festive. Well done, Peter. Well done.
Thanks, son.
He's getting in character already.
In character.
That's not how he laughs, by the way. Sorry, that's not how you laugh, by the way.
And welcome to Mr. Paul Bassett.
Ho, ho, ho.
Oh, hello, Paul. Hello, Paul. Okay, right. I'm not gonna last long with this beard on because it's incredibly hot. Let me take it off. In fact, there you go.
You all along.
It was me all along. Yeah.
Who knew?
Okay, right. So today's episode, number 16, is going to be all about not just surviving, but thriving throughout Christmas and making sure that we don't, well, as Paul said, we're here to ruin your Christmas. We're actually here to kind of look at Christmas and what it means to people and some of the common mistakes that we see with our members over the festive period and things that some people do that sabotage the good work they've almost done for the last months leading up to Christmas, and how all that can be derailed very quickly, and how through some simple maybe mindset shifts and techniques and habits that you can make sure that you still enjoy Christmas, you have a fantastic Christmas, but that kind of everything doesn't fall by the wayside and you don't sort of discover midway through January that you've done no exercise for the last month and it's all a lot harder than it was beforehand. So this episode is actually going to go out on Friday, the 18th of December. So it's perfect timing to listen to in the run up to Christmas, and hopefully it will see your Christmas week, your festive fortnight, whatever you want to call it, run smoothly and enjoyably. And also you can keep on track with your health and fitness and lifestyle goals. So that's what we're going to be talking about today, just the three of us here today. So if we kick things off, first of all, maybe by just talking individually about the common things that we see with our clients and our members over the Christmas period, and potentially how people who do well over this period kind of adapt without just locking themselves in a dark room and ignoring the fact that it is a lovely time of year. So, Mr. Peter Lant, what would you say your experience has been around this?
Well, for me, my own personal experience from years ago used to be, just get hammered. Well, I used to do that a lot anyway, but Christmas used to be even more until the point where I couldn't speak. But moving on from that, now the way it works with me and my guys is like the online people, I just keep that exactly the same. I'll just, I give them a program every month, and it's like, here you go, here's your program. So they just go off and do that, and then if they want to have a couple of days off over Christmas and all that, that's fair enough. We're not here to ruin it, obviously, but. There is one of those things. It's like you've got to enjoy it, and you've got to, you're going to eat loads, and you're probably going to drink more than you should, and all of that. And there's nothing wrong with that. But if that carries on for like a month, then there's a habit being formed, hasn't there? So the way it works with like me and my guys is, we usually take a couple of weeks off. We'll go right up until when we can, but then their kids are off school and what have you. So I basically just. I say to them, like, you can have the couple of weeks off if you want, try and do something. They've all got bells, they've all got stuff to be able to, not Christmas bells, not bell bells, but like kettle bells. They've all got stuff they can do at home. Most of them are quite active anyway, and a lot of them have been members for like a few years, 3-4 years. So they're already in the habit. So they have a couple of weeks off at Christmas, and then they come back again in January and start again. Like it's just a little blip, and then they're on their way. The problem is when it's someone who's only just started, or maybe started this year, or just started during COVID or whatever, who'll then go, okay, well, it's just a couple of days here and there. Then it turns into 2 weeks. Then it turns into a month. And then, like we've just said, you've got your habit back that you've only, the habits that you've only just got rid of, you've formed them again. And then all of a sudden, you're in the new year and you're like, oh, I've missed my New Year's resolution. I've done this. And then like you're way down the line. And then you've got to try and start again. And it's really hard. So for me, all I try to do to get my guys and for myself is just, and it's the same as when I do, when I have holidays in the summer as well. I sound like I have loads of holidays. When I have a holiday in the summer, I don't necessarily do loads and loads of formal gym session exercises, all that. I just go out walking and do stuff and just generally try to remain, relatively healthy, eat stuff that I wouldn't possibly usually eat. But, do exercise as well, go out walking, just enjoy time, especially now as well, because there's not going to be a lot of like people can do over Christmas. You can have family round and all that sort of stuff. We're allowed to do that, but you can't really go out anywhere or do a lot. So going out for a nice family walk and stuff is the way to do it. And I've seen loads of people doing that out and around Bath as well. It's great because I go walking loads. And there's been so many more people out walking recently. All the trails and everything have been really busy, which I love. And they've made them really muddy as well. So it's hilarious watching people who don't usually do it, trying to walk a really muddy forest in cons. It's hilarious. Especially when they're white ones as well. There you go. Yeah.
So how about, you did mention something that I'll just kind of put a pin in for later on, which was which you mentioned New Year's resolutions. So maybe we'll kind of circle back round to that later on and kind of talk about that as well, which is, is always an emotive kind of thing that people kind of tend to do. So we'll come back to New Year's resolutions later. That's great. For yourself, Paul, what's your experience been sort of personally and professionally?
In Christmas in general, well, I no longer, like Peter, get absolutely wrecked on Christmas Eve. I mean, there was one Christmas when I woke up in someone's house on Christmas Day underneath the tree.
Were you wrapped up?
Yeah, I was like the worst present ever delivered. Like a 21-year-old man with a hangover. So yeah, now it's obviously family Christmas, and regards to my client base, I try to remove as much interruption in the service as possible. I mean, obviously we all want time out, but between me and the other guys in the team, we can kind of share classes. I reduced class times, but then I still like this idea that someone may want to be thinking about their health, and I'm not going to stop them doing that. Particularly now as we've got COVID and we've got less opportunity for people to go out and socialize and train, then it's just a port of call which people can reconnect with themselves and maybe get away from the family, because we all know what it's like at Christmas. It can be a bit claustrophobic. So for me, it's a bit of downtime for me. I like to eat some good food. Be interesting to talk to you guys about kind of eating strategies and things like that, because there is a great fear from everyone that they're going to put weight on, and that can lead to two things, where people are either well practiced in health, where they're going, you know what, I'm just going to enjoy myself and I've got a plan to get back. They never really take that much time off. They're still training, they're still looking after themselves, but yeah, they eat a little bit more than they would normally. And then there's other people who go, you know what, I'm just going to freeze everything. I'll come back in a month's time and I'll try and work it off. And we've all seen clients who come back half a stone heavier, and you're like, what the hell happened? There is, you all know weight isn't always the best indicator of progress or regression, but it does tell us something's happening. So for me, it's about creating continuity, and I always think that's really important. One of our previous episodes was about pressing pause. And so for anyone who's thinking about pausing, then that's a great episode for them to go back to and listen to, because we kind of discuss the strategies around that. And I think Christmas is a great example of the pause mentality, and then the panic in the new year when everyone tries to, which is good time for fitness professionals, because that's when we make a lot of sales. But at the same time, we'd rather be working with people on long-term goals rather than this kind of last-minute panic. So that's kind of where I'm at with Christmas, and I'm interested to speak to you guys about how you kind of organize expectation and things like that with your clients.
Well, with what you've just said there, you'd be surprised how few people want to come and train with me outside in January.
Yeah, that's true. That's why I don't do outside stuff.
Oh, it's great, man.
I bet I'd like it.
Get cold in this country, not down here anyway.
Yeah, I mean, for us, we again, like you say, continuity and consistency, which is one of the big themes that we seem to touch upon every week. But I think the main thing that I see now, Christmas really is one day, or it's 2 days. You could take Christmas Day and Boxing Day, the two sort of bank holidays that we have, and then possibly New Year's Day, a week later. And I think that for so many people, it is going to be different this year, because there's not going to be the office Christmas parties and the big social events and everyone getting together and going down the pub or going to restaurants and things. So it's going to be a slightly different feel this year, which I think will do a lot of people some good, to be honest. It removes that layer of temptation for this year but in general, I think you can get to around the 10th of December, around where we are now when we're recording this, and just the wheels totally fall off, like we've said, for the next 3 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks. And I think it's about getting perspective and like I say, no one's here to make sure you don't enjoy Christmas and to ruin your Christmas and all the rest of it. But I think it's 3 bank holidays, and it's about seeing people and family and things like that usually. But it's, for me now anyway, it's not about going out and drinking loads and eating chocolate for breakfast on Christmas Day and just seeing how many calories you can consume in one day, because I suppose it comes back to something else we've talked a lot about: balance. I want to enjoy my Christmas Day, I want to enjoy my Christmas lunch, and I may have a couple of beers and a few other bits, but I want to train right up to. We've already got training sessions booked in on Christmas Eve. We'll be up as a business. We'll be open till midday on Christmas Eve. We'll shut for Christmas Day and Boxing Day. We'll then be open between Christmas, and New Year. We'll shut at midday on New Year's Eve, be shut for New Year's Day. Then we'll be open on the 2nd as normal again. So, I mean, it's just training for me anyway, the way I feel and for my health and for mental health and everything else as well. I like to kind of train consistently over that period, not necessarily in the most structured way. It maybe doesn't need to be the most structured thing possible, but definitely get in and have a few good sessions and go out for walks and that sort of thing. I think the days of me drinking far too much and that sort of thing are well behind me now, and I think they are for a lot of us, really, to be honest. Especially, we've mentioned before, we're all in our 40s now. You know what I mean?
I can't anymore. I tried a couple of years ago and it didn't work. It didn't go very well. Not that it ever went very well when I was in my 20s, but you can get away with it then, can't you?
No, I don't think I was a catch to a potential partner at the end of Christmas Eve.
I wasn't for probably about 15 years.
I mean, the thing is, Christmas is wrapped up in a huge marketing machine, and really, it's. I mean, we all know that we all try and work out when the Christmas mince pies are going to go on sale in the local supermarket. Is it going to be September or October? Or is it going to be August? But I mean, in the end,
it's just after the hot cross buns of
yeah, that's it. Yeah. Thing is, it doesn't. Those 2 days don't negate my goals.
Mm.
If anything, Christmas is just an opportunity to share some time with friends and family, and now with my kids. Obviously, it's big for my kids, but for me, really, sometimes it's a time for an enforced rest period for me, because I know that I'm not going to be making loads of sales just before Christmas. I know I'm not going to have the same calendar. I'm not going to be pulling the same hours. So for me, it is a time to step back and reduce the amount of workload. And particularly when I was working longer hours in more corporate job, I was going to burnout often, and I was just looking forward to Christmas as some way of releasing the stress and the kind of pressure that was building up. Because you know that you come out of summer, you get that period where you've got September, October, you're working hard, you start pushing harder and harder and harder, and you get to November and you're like, God, when's the year going to finish? I'm knackered. And then you look to Christmas as this kind of opportunity to release that steam. But obviously, but the problem is that sometimes we compound the relaxing with quite dysfunctional eating and behavioral patterns, which means that come New Year's Eve, on top of that, we've got very dysfunctional eating and drinking patterns. Come into January, an absolute mess. And, I remember just sitting there in January going, God, I've got to do something about my health because I've been knackered, stressed, whatever. I've not really looked after myself over Christmas because you don't really if you're eating just loads of junk and drinking too much,
I think it's going to be really interesting this year because, what's been happening with the guys who come to see me is, especially at the beginning of this week, actually, they were all kind of like, oh, everyone at work's just sick of it now and they want to, get 2020 out of the way and all of that sort of stuff. And so when you say it's 2 days, or it can be 2 weeks, or it can turn into a month, people have already started thinking about it and thinking I just want the year done. And we're on what is it now? The 10th of December. So beginning of this week, which was like the 5th or whatever it was, and it's like, okay, the 7th. So it's like, that's going to be a month and a half then. But what we haven't got this year, like you said, is the parties and all of that. So it'll be interesting to see, and I don't know how we'll measure this. I'll talk to my guys about it in the new year and what have you, but to see what happens over Christmas and whether people do put that half a stone on extra or whatever, because everyone's lives have changed over the last year. And people have had to reevaluate how they do things and what they do. And maybe people have been getting out a bit more. Like I said, the trails are busy around here and everything. So maybe people have been doing a bit more exercise, getting their NEAT. We were talking about NEAT the other day, getting that, getting more of that. Which, if anybody doesn't know what that is, it's non-exercise activity thermogenesis.
Yeah.
So that's basically like what we've been talking about getting out and walking and stuff. So yeah. Your average Joe who sits at a desk all day and doesn't do very much, your couch potato types and all of that, will go, right, I need to get fitter and I need to lose weight, get muscly, whatever the goal is. And then I'll go, right, I'll join a gym and I'll do like an hour's exercise 3 times a week. And it's like, okay, what about the other 165 hours? So, and then if you there's a graph on this, there's many graphs, and I put one together once as well. But it's like if you take what your average person who considers their health and fitness, if you take what they do, their gym work will be a small amount, and they're more likely to be active just in general. So they'll have a massive chunk of activity that they do, like walking, cycling, whatever, which isn't formal exercise. It's just what they do for fun. You take your person who doesn't do that. Their gym work will probably be pretty much exactly the same, but then the other exercise will be nowhere near. So that's where, if you want to burn calories, that's where it's at, isn't it?
Would you say that about Christmas? Because a lot of people feel a great sense of guilt for indulging over Christmas.
Yeah.
And obviously what we don't want to do, it's time to relax, and you don't want to add on top of that some kind of weird guilt, because I used to feel guilty all the time. I'd eat all this food and I'd sit there going, oh my God, what have I done? I put all this weight on, etc. Do you guys advise on strategies? Because we talked about with Chris, calorie intake is king when it comes to weight. Have you talked about strategies such as fasting and things like that? Because people are going to be looking into these things. People are going to be looking into strategies around calorie maintenance and calorie consumption while indulging.
Yeah,
it's hack the system.
I always find that funny because you need to be careful with that because it depends on the person. Because you stick someone on a like intermittent fasting or something like that. Not that I do that, but I do it for myself, and I don't even know what that means anyway. Intermittent fasting is just living like we used to live, right? You go for a decent amount of time without food, like 15 hours or whatever, but that's just called the 1980s, isn't it? As far as I'm concerned, because there's more food around now, right? There's more food around. So, you can get food at any time, anywhere. So I think it depends on the type of person, because if you've got someone who's got a poor emotional relationship with food and they eat when they get stressed, which is most people, but some people it takes hold of them. So if they're trying to work out strategies over Christmas, the likelihood is they're going to end up binging somewhere. But what I do on Christmas Day, and I've done this for a few years, every Monday, I was doing a 24-hour fast, Sunday night and Monday night. Since the Chris Lowe thing, I've stopped doing that, actually, because I realized I was getting tired and I needed to eat more. I'd actually started to eat less and less and less. And I was like, hang on, I need to eat more because I was getting tired. So I've started doing that in the last few weeks. But on Christmas Day, I just don't eat anything until we have Christmas dinner at like 3 o'clock or whenever it is.
To be fair, I do that as well.
I know for that Christmas dinner, I'm going to eat loads.
You've got to make space.
Yeah. I'm just going to eat
Yorkshire puddings.
Yeah. So all I do is, it's going to be all the pigs in blankets and roast potatoes and all of that. It's going to be the works. So I just don't eat anything beforehand.
Yeah, because I'm only going to be eating like eggs and toast or something, or maybe you'll have like
exactly.
Might as well have more Brussels sprouts, because that's what we all eat, isn't it?
I always think it's funny when people go on about like, well, Christmas breakfast, and they have like a big old Christmas breakfast, and then they go and have Christmas dinner. Like
3 hours later,
1 o'clock in the afternoon or something. But everyone has a lie in as well, because they're opening the presents and that. And then, the kids get up at like 4 o'clock or whatever. But then everyone then has breakfast at 9 or 10, and then has lunch at 1.
Well, check this out. When I was about 8, those big stockings of chocolate bars like Milky Way. I ate all of those at like 6 in the morning before my breakfast.
Yeah.
I ate every single chocolate bar. I think it was about 1988 or 87.
Do you know what I used to do, right? My parents both used to work at Rowntree's, which then became Nestle, right?
Dangerous.
And they do the tins of Quality Street, right? Remember those?
Were you like Scrooge McDuck diving into them? With
No. We'd buy the tins of Quality Street. Me and my brother would get one each for Christmas, right? And we knew where they were, where they'd hide them, right? So we'd go in, we'd take the tape off from around the side, open it up, eat a few, put it back on, carefully put the tape back on. But we'd do that like from about a month out, right? So every time we open them on Christmas Day, we'd open it up, and my parents would be like, "God, they don't put much in these tins of Quality Street." No. By the way, do you want a toffee penny? Because they're the rubbish ones. There you go.
I was just going to say, one of the things that we do with our guys, we're doing it again this year, and we've done it a few times previous years, is for December, the month of December, we run the 10,000 swing challenge for the month. So we've got a number of people doing that this month. So that's another good thing, which for those who don't know, it's over the course of a month, you do 10,000 kettlebell swings, and it's basically, if you follow it sort of to the T, it's 20 workouts with 500 swings per workout. And we find that really, really good, because I've got a number of people doing that. And it means that you don't have to do your swings on Christmas Day, but it means you'll certainly train, up until Christmas, and you'll probably do a couple of sessions between Christmas and New Year as well to get these in. So it's kind of setting a goal for the month of December, which I find really helps keep people on track. Or I've got another guy who's a member at the gym at the moment doing a virtual London to Lapland cycle for the month, and I think it works out. It's they're doing it as a team, but I think he's got to do like 500 kilometers of cycling, in the month of December. So these kind of month-long challenges, I think, in December, if they're handled properly, can be really, really good to help keep people on track.
I think that's a good idea. I do something similar, but it's not. What I'm doing is just a weekly challenge with everyone, and I've got some Amazon vouchers that they can win at the end. Like one of the challenges was based on the conversation we had with James Breeze, which is the 1.5 miles in 20 minutes. And a lot of people were like, "This can't be done. This is my legs aren't long enough." And then they all smashed it. So it was great to see people kind of push themselves. It's like Roger Bannister, once the 4-minute mile has been done, everyone else starts to surpass. So that was good. So today's a burpee challenge. It's very simple. It's to try and do as many as they can in 2 minutes. But other ones are more kind of based around recovery or diet, and people post things on the Facebook group just to prove that they've done it. I think I did one which was write down a day of eating everything you've eaten and how you felt during it. And I gave them a certain number of questions they had to answer. Not everyone does it, but there are people engaging in it. And it just gets people focusing their mind on not just the sessions, but trying to think outside the box a little bit.
Right, I've got 3 things now here. Number 1, listen to what Paul's just said there. He went back, he's, based on the podcast that we did with James Breeze, you've got a challenge for you guys and all that. We do what's in these podcasts, by the way. We're not just sitting here ranting on a load of rubbish and going, yeah, you go off and do that. And we've all got like a few beers lined up here. And as soon like, we'll just turn the camera off and go like, well, I'll just have a quick. No, we do this stuff, right? After that James Breeze thing, I went out and did that. And I was like, right, I'm going to see how far I can go. So there's that. The challenge thing, definitely. I mean, I've got a guy online who's super busy at work, and it's his excuse all the time. So we've got him doing like, just some swings every day, and that's pretty much it. But when I was saying do this many swings in a day with whatever bell, he's actually moved up a bell, so now he's doing more. But he was texting me every day. I've done this many. But the odd day I wouldn't get a text, and then he'd come back and go, I missed a few days. So I said, right, how many is that in a week? And it was like, I don't know, it was like 500 swings or something like that. He's like, right, yeah. So I'll get that done in a week. And it was 7 days. And I was like, no, do 5 days. Because then at least if you do 6, it's a win. But if you don't do 7, you're going to have lost. And he's doing way more now than he ever was because he's got that now he's now got to work out, what have I got to do today to get to that on Sunday? So it's like that with the month. You can go, I'll do something over December, but leave it till the end. But if you've got a target to hit, you go, well, I need to do something today to get to that to make it easier. But then it makes it more consistent. So that's cool.
And I think also the kind of, again, it's a subject we've touched on lots over the last 16 weeks is accountability as well. And being part of a group or a challenge or having, one-to-one sessions booked in. I mean, I did a session yesterday with Claire Booth from Strong First, who you guys know, on some bodyweight stuff. And I kind of have a check-in session with her every 2 to 3 weeks. And we were looking at when we would do next. And we tend to do Wednesday afternoons. And I sort of said, well, why don't we book in the Wednesday between Christmas and New Year, which is whatever it is, the 28th, 29th, something like that. And I thought, well, if I book that session in on that Wednesday, it's going to keep me training up until that Wednesday. You know what I mean? Because she's going to want to see improvement. I'm going to want to see improvement. And when we get to that, so it gives me something, and that's bang in the middle of kind of that Christmas week, So I think if you do work with a trainer in any description as well for the listeners, to actually try and maintain that consistency. And if you're used to training on a Wednesday or a Thursday, continue training on that over Christmas, regardless, unless it's Christmas Day or Boxing Day, because like I say, I'll be working Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve and in between Christmas and New Year. So we really want people to, and again, this year is going to be good for this because people are not going to be doing the same amount of socializing than they would do normally. So if anything, I think this year will be easier for people to maintain that consistency right over the Christmas period,
Absolutely. The other thing with that is as well about training up and over Christmas and people who say they can't do it in that. Think about the nutters who get up on Boxing Day and go and do the swims. They do it up at Whitley Bay in Newcastle. I think it's in Whitley Bay. And it's like they're plunging into the North Sea at 7 o'clock in the morning on Boxing Day and all that. If people are prepared to do that, you can go and do a workout, right? Let's face it.
Well, people say they don't have time when we go back to we probably do an entire podcast on time management. The thing is, you end up with more time if you prioritize your time. And even over Christmas, it's quite easy to just have this open-ended thing. You don't have the structure of work. You don't have the structure of your commute or whatever it is. And it's one of the things that people experienced when COVID first hit and we went into lockdown is the suddenly structure changed, or there was zero structure. And it's the same, you just got to plan. If you want to succeed in something, or you don't want to lose your momentum, the most successful people structure their time. Yeah. And James has just put up a good example of that. We're now on the 7th, or I don't know what day it is. Anyway, 10th. There we go. And you're thinking 18 days ahead for the 28th about when you're going to be training and having a check-in with your trainer. It's no different. I don't see Christmas for, like I say, it's 2 days if anything, I'm looking through saying, okay, if we're going to be talking to people here, we're going to have the meals here, this, that, and the other. I'm thinking about ways in which I can do the things that mean something to me. But I think and this is something I put in an email today to my mail out, is, if you don't have time, or you say you don't have time, then perhaps, it's controversial, you don't actually, it's not really that important to you.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've said that before, and we say that all the time, right? It's priorities. If you prioritize something, you will do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I think another thing that we did a few years running, haven't planned to do it this year, but we did on New Year's Day. We met up, and it was actually after I met Tracy Rifkin for the first time. She does these swing marathons of and she had the idea, and I think she does it every year actually. On New Year's Day, you do a session.
She does it most days.
Well, no, but on New Year's Day, you do a workout, and you do the number of swings for that year. So I think we did it in 2017, 2018. So a group of us met at the gym and did 2018 swings. Yeah. Wow. And it was really good, because one thing it did do is stop people getting too drunk on New Year's Eve, because we were meeting at the gym the next day. I think we met it wasn't late either. We met at like 8 a.m. or something on New Year's Day, but it wasn't like it was a way of just, it's that old saying of, how do you eat an elephant, one bite at a time or whatever. And we just sectioned it off into how we're going to do these 2,000 and plus swings.
How long did it take?
It takes a good sort of 2.5 hours, something like that, 3 hours maybe. But we kind of did 500 at a time, and we did them all different rep ranges, and some two-hand, some one-handed, some hand-to-hand. And then after each kind of 500 swing sort of section, we'd have a little stop. We'd have a coffee or whatever, have a break, and then we go again, And it was like a marathon, it was a mental endurance kind of thing to do, but we all had it finished before midday, before lunchtime, and then you've done 2018 swings in the morning, and it was brilliant. And that kind of culminated because people had done the 10,000 swing challenge leading up to that, so they were well conditioned to do that, and it was great. It was great fun, it was really good. So I think what we'll do, I was just going to mention as well, just before coming live, I was chatting to Peter, certainly, and we were talking about consistency. And one of the things we were talking about was actually our rota, or our plan for keeping these podcasts going over Christmas and New Year. And it would be very, very easy to say, well, let's just have a couple of weeks off and we'll start again in January. But based upon what we've just spent the last 35 minutes talking about, that's not kind of, walking the walk, as it were. So we decided that we'll keep these podcasts going for the next few weeks, and we'll just keep going. We've done every week for the last 16 weeks. There's no reason, just because it's Christmas or New Year, to stop recording. So even if we have to shift and do it on a different day or whatever, we'll keep going. So I think that's another thing that's important. If it's important to you, which this podcast is, I think for all of us, we'll make it work, and we'll keep going over Christmas. So I think that's another practical kind of application of making things happen,
And I think what James isn't telling you is he did that entire swing challenge with the 6 kilo.
With a toffee hammer.
Dude, me. And what I was just going to say as well, we did mention, or we touched upon New Year's resolutions and that sort of thing. And I think we're kind of coming up to the end of this episode now, and the next one that we're going to record on the 17th, which will go out on Christmas Day. So I think what we can do is maybe take next episode to talk all about that. I think that would be really good, and it'll be coming out at a timely time as well. So
we'll do it at 3 o'clock and see who wins between us and the Queen.
Yeah, yeah, we'll release it. Yeah, 3 p.m. on. Well, maybe I'll come dressed as the Queen next
time. Yeah. Yes. We might make the national news. You never know. That'd be fantastic, wouldn't it?
Do we? No, that would be great. So, no, that's really good. I did just want to say as well that for everyone, we want to thank massively, obviously, everyone who's been listening and watching and following what we've been talking about. And we've already, in the last 15, 16 weeks, had some fantastic guests on, and we're going to continue to do that. Last week we had, Little Tank, who was absolutely fantastic. We had Chris Lowe prior to that. Who was great. We've had, I think Mike Sweeney was the very first guest we've had. So we're going to continue, Mr. Maceman, Tracy Rifkind, all these guests that we've had. So we're going to continue doing that. And if you are enjoying the episodes that we're doing, please do, subscribe to us on Spotify, on iTunes, on whatever your preferred platform is. If you're on social media, please give us a follow on Instagram, which is Health Oddity, on Facebook, which is Health Oddity, on YouTube. You can subscribe to the YouTube channel, which is Health Oddity. And yeah, because that's going to help us push ourselves out to more people, and hopefully, we can impact more people and get more guests on, and this will keep rolling throughout 2021, which is what we're after.
Absolutely. Any shares as well, people kind of like stuff on Facebook and that as well. But if you like it that much, share it. You can share your spot. You can share Spotify on your stories and everything. I do that with this every week.
Perhaps we should do one just purely from listeners' questions. I would like that.
Totally.
I think that would be quite fun to be put on the spot with some things, and people come up. People think. I have my preconceptions about what people want to hear, but actually there may be some really interesting questions we just don't know about.
And we've got another heart. We just rattled off before coming on live today. We've got at least another half a dozen to 10 people that we're kind of closely connected with that we want to get onto the podcast. So we'll line up, start lining up guests for January as well, which would be fantastic. So next week, which will be the Christmas Day episode, we will be talking about setting yourself up for success in 2021. And we'll talk around New Year's resolutions and how we individually approach those and how our members approach those, hitting the ground running. And if you have let the wheels fall off a little bit over Christmas, how we can reclaim and recapture that and get going again in January. So yeah, that'll be a great episode next week as well. Cool. Right. Do we have any final thoughts from Mr. Peter Lance?
For my one, it's no pressure. What we might have to do is the next few episodes is just not do video, because we'll all be sitting here with big double chins and stuff like that. Honestly, I've had a great Christmas and I did everything I said I was going to do.
Or we can all just get one of these and then hides the double chin
because we're covering it up. It'd be brilliant.
Mr. Paul Bassett, do you have anything you'd like to say?
Well, I'm just trying to work out what I'm going to have for Christmas dinner. I don't know if it's going to be a beef joint or it's going to be a turkey or it's going to be something else. Maybe lamb. I always like lamb.
I'm cooking this year, actually. So I've got my family and then the in-laws coming round as well. So
I imagine, before you say anything, I imagine, James, that you've got this beautiful contraption in your garden and you're going to do a massive hog roast or something.
I reckon he's got something out there custom built.
Yeah.
Hasn't he? Because I've seen it. Sean's got your next hammer. It was on Instagram today. Your next hammer's coming. I've seen it.
Oh, was it? I've not seen that.
Oh, mate, he showed it. He's making that, and there's a Thundercat. Are you getting a Thundercat one as well?
No, I'm getting the Dark Knight logo on the next one.
There's a one that looks like it's a Thundercat one.
Oh.
I think it is. I'm not sure, but yours was on there, and I was like, you. Ooh. And it's funny because on his website, you're the hammer guy.
Oh yeah, I've not seen that because I sent him a testimonial the other day, and I didn't see. Oh, okay, that's cool.
No, he has to wear the MC Hammer trousers though.
He wears them every week. He's got them on. He's like a newsreader. I don't wear any. I've just got my pants on.
Cool. So thank you very much for listening. Thank you for sticking with us, and thank you for all of your follows and shares and feedback and things. And we will see. I hope you have a fantastic Christmas and get yourself set up for a good Christmas. And we will see you on the next episode on Christmas Day, talking about New Year's resolutions and what they are and what they mean. And what we think about them. So we will do that. So until next time, say goodbye, Mr. Peter Lant.
Goodbye. Thanks for listening. We appreciate you all.
Say goodbye, Mr. Paul Bassett.
Goodbye, everyone.
Okay. And I will say goodbye wearing my Santa's beard. Ho, 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 ho. Goodbye. Thank you for listening, guys. Take care.
You've been listening to Health Odyssey with Peter Lant, Paul Bassett, and James St Pierre. To get your regular fix of hype-free health, you can subscribe and leave a review wherever you get your favorite podcasts. You can find out more on today's and other topics at healthodyssey.com or find us on Facebook or Instagram by searching for Health Odyssey.